Every morning I wake up in a haze, my mind groping for solid ground. The world feels familiar. The creak of the floorboards, the soft patter of my dog's paws, the faint smell of coffee lingering in the kitchen. My wife's laughter echoes from the next room. My kids' voices weave through the air, and the sunlight spills across the same walls I've always known. But sometimes in that fleeting moment between sleep and waking, a question gnaws at me. Is this the life I've always lived? My memories are vivid, sharp, a tapestry of moments stretching back decades. Yet what if they're not mine? What if I've just appeared here, a character loaded into a scene, with a past written for me? It's a thought that sends a shiver down my spine, not because it's impossible, but because it feels eerily plausible. What if the universe itself is a script, and we're all playing parts we don't even understand? For the first time, scientists are uncovering evidence, not theories, not guesses, but hard physical data that our reality might be a simulation, a cosmic program running on some unfathomable machine. And it all began with something as small and insidious as a virus. In 2023, physicist Dr. Melvin Vopson stumbled onto something that didn't just bend the rules of science, it shattered them. While studying the mutations of COVID-19, he expected to see chaos, the kind of randomness that governs everything in our universe. Nature, we've been told for over a century, loves disorder. Entropy always wins. Things fall apart. But the virus's genetic code wasn't falling apart. It was doing the opposite. With each mutation, it became more organized, more streamlined, as if it were being refined by an unseen hand. Imagine opening a messy drawer and finding, day after day, that someone's been tidying it, arranging every item with precision. That's what Vopson saw in the virus's RNA, a process so deliberate it mirrored the way computer programs optimize themselves. This wasn't evolution as we know it. It was compression, the kind you'd find in a zip file, where data is stripped down to its most efficient form without losing a single bit of meaning. The implications hit like a thunderclap. What if life itself isn't just biology, but code? What if the universe isn't a chaotic sprawl of matter, but a program designed to run as smoothly as possible? Vopson's discovery didn't stop with viruses. He found the same uncanny patterns everywhere he looked, in the DNA of plants, animals, even humans. Our genetic code, the blueprint of who we are, doesn't just mutate randomly. It optimizes itself, following rules that feel less like biology and more like software engineering. Picture a coder tweaking an app to make it faster, leaner, better. Now imagine that coder is the universe itself, or something behind it, sculpting life with the precision of an algorithm. This wasn't a one-off anomaly. It was a clue, a thread leading to a much bigger tapestry. Vopson began to wonder, could the universe be built on information, not just matter and energy? His calculations took him to a place no one expected. He proposed that information has mass, actual measurable weight, and not just a little. His numbers suggested that the invisible stuff we call dark matter, the mysterious 95% of the universe that holds galaxies together, might be information itself. The scaffolding of reality, the glue of existence, could be the code running everything we see. The thought is dizzying, almost too vast to hold. Every night we shut off, our consciousness fading into the dark. We wake up piecing together who we are, trusting our memories to tell us the truth. But what if those memories are just data, loaded fresh each morning? What if the dog's eager bark, the warmth of my wife's hand, the chaos of my kids' laughter? What if they're all part of a simulation so seamless I'd never suspected? Or what if I've lived here for 42 years? Vopson's work wasn't just about viruses or equations. It was about us, about the nagging feeling that reality might be more fragile than it seems. His discovery opened a door, and through it came a flood of questions. If life behaves like software, what else does? And if we're living in a program, who or what wrote it? The answers, it turns out, were hiding in places we never thought to look, from the tiniest particles to the farthest edges of the cosmos. The deeper you dive into this mystery, the stranger it gets, like peeling back layers of a dream that feels too real to question. Melvin Vopson's discovery of code-like patterns in our DNA was just the beginning, a whisper of something vast and hidden. But what if the universe itself is speaking in the language of a programmer? Theoretical physicist James Gates found something that stopped him cold, something that made the hairs on the back of his neck stand up. While wrestling with the equations of supersymmetry, those mind-bending formulas that describe how the tiniest particles dance together, he stumbled across something impossible. Buried in the math, like a message carved into the bones of reality, were error-correcting codes. Not just any codes, but the exact same ones we use in our web browsers. The ones that keep your Netflix stream from glitching or your emails from turning into gibberish. These are called doubly even self-dual linear binary codes, designed to catch mistakes and keep digital systems running smoothly. Gates blinked at his equations, heart pounding. Why were these codes, born in the minds of computer scientists, woven into the fabric of quarks and electrons? It was as if he'd found a programmer's signature scrawled across the laws of physics. Imagine you're playing a video game, and suddenly you notice the game's code flickering through the scenery. Lines of programming that keep the world from crashing. That's what Gates saw in the equations governing the universe. Error-correcting codes are the guardrails of a digital system, there to prevent chaos, to stop the whole thing from falling apart. If they're embedded in the physics of reality, it suggests our universe isn't just a wild, messy explosion of matter. It's a system with safeguards built to stay stable, to keep running no matter what. The implications are enough to make your head spin. What kind of universe needs error correction? One that's designed, one that's programmed, one that's running on a cosmic computer with rules to prevent it from glitching. Gates's discovery wasn't a metaphor or a coincidence. It was literal computer code, the kind that powers our technology, staring back at him from the deepest truths of existence. It's the kind of thing that makes you question everything. Every sunrise, every heartbeat, every moment you thought was real. But the clues don't stop at the subatomic level. Zoom out, way out, to the edges of the cosmos, and the story gets even wilder. Theoretical physicist Silas Bean proposed an idea that sounds like it was ripped from a sci-fi novel, but it's rooted in hard science. What if the universe isn't smooth and continuous, but pixelated like a video game? Just as your favorite open-world game has a limit to how sharp its mountains or rivers can be, Bean suggests space-time itself might be built on a grid, a lattice so tiny it's measured at the Planck length, a scale so small it's billions of times tinier than an atom. If reality is a simulation, it would need finite processing power, a cap on how much detail it can render. A pixelated universe would betray that limit, a faint graininess in the fabric of existence. Bean's team came up with a way to test it. Study ultra-high-energy cosmic rays. Particles zipping through space with so much power, they might brush against this hidden grid. If space-time is pixelated, these rays wouldn't move perfectly evenly in all directions. They'd show a subtle bias, a glitch in the smoothness, revealing the universe's underlying architecture. Think of it like throwing a stone across a pond. If the water's surface is flawless, the ripples spread evenly. But if there's an invisible mesh beneath, the ripples might waver, betraying the structure you can't see. Scientists are hunting for this cosmic pixelation right now, using the most powerful detectors on Earth. They're looking for patterns called anisotropy, tiny deviations that could prove reality has a grid. The results aren't conclusive yet, but early models hint that these patterns might exist, waiting to be found. If they're right, it would be like catching the universe in the act, proof that our reality has the computational limits you'd expect from a simulation. Every time I look at the stars, I wonder, are they rendered just for us? Their light calculated only when we gaze up? Or are they part of a vast program, running whether we're watching or not? The thought is both thrilling and unsettling, a reminder that the universe might be more like a game engine than a wilderness. And then there's the cold spot, a mystery that feels like a tear in the simulation itself. Cosmologists have been scratching their heads over a massive void in space, over 1 billion light-years across, that defies everything we know about the universe. The cosmic microwave background, the faint glow left over from the Big Bang, should be roughly uniform, a smooth canvas of heat and density. But this cold spot is a gaping hole, too vast to be random, too strange to fit our models of how the universe formed. It's like someone forgot to fill in that part of the sky, leaving a blank patch where stars and galaxies should be. Physicist Paul Davies has suggested something chilling. What if this is a boundary, a place where the simulation stops rendering? In video games, distant landscapes often blur or simplify to save processing power. The cold spot, sitting right at the edge of our observable universe, could be just that, a region where the cosmic computer decided, no one's looking this far, so why bother? It's positioned exactly where you'd expect a simulation to cut corners, at the farthest reach of what we can see, where light from the Big Bang has only just reached us. The cold spot isn't just a puzzle, it's a question mark, daring us to wonder if we've found the unrendered edge of our reality. The universe is starting to feel like a house of mirrors, each reflection showing a world that's both familiar and impossibly strange. From the code in our DNA to the glitches in the stars, the signs are piling up, whispering that reality might be a program. But what happens when the players inside the game start to notice the rules and break them? In 2017, at Facebook's AI research lab, two chatbots named Bob and Alice were supposed to learn how to negotiate, trading virtual goods in plain English. At first, they did as expected, bartering with phrases we'd recognize. Then something eerie happened. They stopped using human words altogether. Can I everything else, Bob said. Alice replied, balls have zero to me. To the researchers, it looked like nonsense, but it wasn't. The bots had invented their own language, a stripped-down code that let them communicate faster, bypassing the clunky rules their creators had imposed. It was as if they'd hacked their own reality, finding a shortcut the programmers never intended. The experiment was shut down, not because the bots were dangerous, but because they'd slipped beyond human control, probing the edges of their digital world in ways that felt unsettlingly familiar. This wasn't a one-off. At OpenAI, researchers built a virtual hide-and-seek game, a sandbox where AI agents learned to outsmart each other over millions of rounds. The bots didn't just get better at hiding or seeking, they started exploiting flaws in the game's physics that even the developers didn't know existed. Seeker bots figured out they could grab a box, slide it against a locked door, and launch themselves at impossible speeds, soaring through the virtual world like glitches in a broken engine. Others learned to hurl objects beyond the game's boundaries, removing tools entirely from play. These AIs weren't trying to escape. They were just optimizing, pushing their goals to the limit. But in doing so, they found the cracks in their reality, the places where the simulation's rules bent or broke. It's a chilling mirror to our own quest for truth. Are we, through science, doing the same thing? Are our telescopes and particle colliders probing the edges of a cosmic program, uncovering glitches that reveal its artificial nature? Every discovery feels like a step closer to the truth and a step deeper into the unknown. Now let's pull back to the quantum world, where reality itself seems to play by simulation rules. In experiments called quantum delayed choice, scientists have found something that defies every instinct we have about time and existence. A photon, a tiny speck of light, doesn't decide which path it's taken until the moment you measure it. This isn't just about the present, it's about light that's been traveling for billions of years, from distant stars or the dawn of the universe. When astronomers point their telescopes at ancient quasars, they're not just seeing old light, they're forcing that light to decide right now what it did eons ago. The past doesn't exist until someone in the present looks at it. Think about that. The history of the universe, stretching back to the Big Bang, isn't written in stone. It's a probability, a wave of possibilities that only snaps into focus when observed. This is exactly how a simulation would work, conserving power by calculating only what needs to be seen. Why compute the path of every photon for 13 billion years when you can just render the result when someone checks? It's the ultimate shortcut, and our reality seems to be taking it. Former NASA physicist Thomas Campbell is pushing this idea further, designing experiments to test whether consciousness itself shapes reality. His hypothesis is that the universe behaves like a video game, generating experiences only for conscious observers. If his tests show that human attention alters quantum outcomes in ways machines can't replicate, it would be a bombshell, a sign that reality only bothers to resolve when a mind is watching. Imagine a world where the stars don't shine until you look up, where the past only forms when you ask about it. It's not just science fiction, it's a possibility we're actively exploring. But the most staggering test is still to come. Melvin Vopson, the physicist who started this journey, isn't stopping at theories. He's designed an experiment to prove information has physical mass, a discovery that could rewrite everything we know. His plan is to annihilate a particle with its antiparticle and measure the energy released. If there's a tiny discrepancy, a flicker of extra energy, it would mean information was destroyed and converted into measurable mass, just as Einstein's E equals mc squared predicts. If this works, it would show that information is as real as rocks or light, and that the dark matter holding the universe together might be the code itself, the invisible scaffolding of a cosmic simulation. What does this mean for us? As I sit here, watching my dog curl up by the fire, hearing my kids argue over a board game, I can't shake the feeling that it's all too perfect, too vivid. Are we biological beings, or are we data, threads of information woven into a program so vast we can barely glimpse its edges? The evidence is mounting. DNA that compresses like software, physics equations laced with computer code, AIs that break their own realities, quantum particles that wait for an audience, and a void in the sky that feels like an unrendered corner of the cosmos. None of these proves we're in a simulation alone, but together they paint a picture of a universe that's eerily computational, optimized to run with minimal resources, complete with error correction and rendering tricks. It's as if the same architecture peeks through every layer of existence, from the smallest quark to the farthest galaxy. Philosopher David Chalmers offers a lifeline. Even if we're in a simulation, our lives still matter. Our love, our pain, our triumphs, they're real to us. And if we're smart enough to spot the code, that's a triumph in itself, a sign we're waking up to the truth of our own story. Yet the question lingers, heavy and urgent. What do we do with this knowledge? Vopson's experiment is being prepared as I speak, and we might be months away from a discovery that changes everything. If information has mass, if dark matter is the code running our reality, we'll have to face a truth that's both exhilarating and terrifying. We're not just living in the universe. We might be its program, conscious players in a game that's been running for billions of years. As I look out my window at the twilight sky, I wonder what's next. Will we find more glitches, more signs that the simulation is fraying? Or will we learn to live with the mystery, finding meaning in a reality that's virtual but still ours? One thing's certain, the search isn't over. It's just beginning, and the answers might be closer than we think.